Hello. Today I'm not going to cook anything. I'm actually just going to go through my pantry and show you a few staples that I tend to find that I really need when I find a recipe that I want to cook. And it's nice to have them around. A lot what I do is if I see a recipe that I want to cook eventually, I go through the list, and if it's something I don't have, I go ahead and order it or try to find it at Walmart or Kroger. And even though if I'm not making it right away, at least I have it. And sometimes I find recipes that I do make right away also needs that. So I'm just going to go over a few things that I find useful to have in my kitchen all the time. First, I'm going to start with food products, and then I'll move on to like little devices that I find is handy while cooking certain things. So as you can see, I have a whole table full of stuff. Don't get overwhelmed by this. Like I said, I tend to go overboard on stuff. So a lot of times I just go ahead and buy multiples, or like I said, if there's a recipe that might call for something, I have it just in case I decide to do it. So first thing I want to start with is something that you would have all the time, which is cornstarch. Use cornstarch a lot for thickening. Since we don't use egg, I find that sometimes I just add a little cornstarch to a recipe that calls for egg, and I use an egg replacer, and it doesn't get as thick as I want. So it's nice to have some cornstarch on hand. Lemon juice. A lot of recipes call for lemon juice or fresh lemon, freshly squeezed lemon. I don't always have freshly squeezed lemons on hand, so I tend to use the lemon juice a lot more than freshly squeezed. I just don't use as much because that is very concentrated. Maple syrup. This is your natural sugar, your natural flavoring. You use it with your bacon, so it tastes good. All right, now these are great. Now, bouillon. Flavors everything for dishes. This is a good one that's better than bouillon. This is the vegetable broth. They do have no chicken broth and no beef broth, but I'm having a hard time finding that right now. So I use this Orrington Farms. They have a vegan chicken broth. They have a vegan beef broth. And they also have a vegan ham broth, which I really find useful because I grew up eating my Grandpa Estep's boiled dinners. That's one thing I really missed, even just being a regular vegetarian, because it had ham in it. This really brings that flavor to it. And then I find this at Kroger's. This is not chicken bouillon cubes. These are great. And I'm going to tell you, like, you're missing your chicken noodle soup when you're not feeling good. This is a great replacement. Now, so we're speaking about chicken noodles. So here's something that I found off of, there's a website called Fake Meats. They sell jerky and all kinds of things. I found this here. These are actually cubed TVP, which is textured vegetable protein. So it has a lot of protein. It's gluten-free. It's 100% vegan. It cooks up and it tastes just like and feels like chicken cubes. So you see, calorie-wise, pretty good. Fat, low carbs, 14 grams of protein for a third of this dry. So that's quite a bit. So it's real super easy to use. I really like it. Now, talking about TVP, textured vegetable protein. This is a great one. We order this online. We buy it in bulk. As you can see, it is little bits. When you hydrate these, they're like a ground hamburger. So you can flavor it with your beef broth, and you can make a hamburger dish. So like, what is that called? Hamburger helper, anything like that. So if you're looking to not use as much processed foods, like for example, let me see if I might not have one in here right now. But anyway, your processed foods, which is like the frozen meat that you can buy with Boca or Gardein or Morningstar, which are great Don't get me wrong, they're great. But a lot of people, you know, they have oil and stuff in it. A lot of people don't like to eat that much. So the TVP is great for that. And it's super easy. You just put it, the directions are right there. But you put it in hot water and it puffs right up like meat. It's fantastic. Another meat substitute that I like to use that you have to rehydrate are soy curls. Now I made this for a party of my really good friends, and people just, they did not believe that it was vegan and that it wasn't meat. These are fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and do a recipe with that in the future. So, but soy curls too, rehydrate it, brings it back, it's almost like chicken strips. So it's really, really great. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is this right here, tofu scramble. So you get your tofu, you break it all up, and you add this to it, and it tastes like eggs. It is great. Now, I like it a lot. I think it's not as eggy as a regular egg. So what I use is, this is a great substitute when you're trying to make tofu scramble. It's called black salt. Now a little bit, this goes a long way. It's very has a lot of sulfur in it. So it gives that eggy feel, that eggy smell that you get, and that taste, because eggs are very, has a lot of sulfur in it as well. So it's a great thing. Speaking of salt, fleur de sel salt. I like to use this. I had got a recipe for a vegan parm, so cashews and this salt. This salt changed the game. This salt really did. I like it. I tend to use it in stuff that I want to have almost like kind of like a richer taste. So I put that in. Again, a little bit of this goes a long way. And then of course, you're going to need your nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast you'll use for anything that has to have, that you want to make cheesy. This is got a very great cheesy feel to it. Pretty much every recipe calls for nutritional yeast, either in a high quantity or a low quantity. It has a little bit. Also, on a side note, a cat that we had that lived like 20 years, she would not eat her dry food without nutritional yeast sprinkled on top. She absolutely loved it. And she stayed very healthy for a long time. Just the last like 2 years of her life is when things were going downhill. Now, speaking of oils, coconut oil.
Hi, Mama.
So coconut oil is something that is very useful. This is a solid form. I find some recipes call for solid coconut oil. So like you kind of like beat it into, sugar or flour. So you need that texture of like butter. There also is a liquid form of it. I like to use that for cooking. It's unflavored. It doesn't taste like coconut. So there's no coconut. I believe this is unflavored as well. So you don't get that. You don't always taste coconut when you use it. And then another oil is avocado oil. That's nice. I have a recipe that called for it, so I made sure I have it. I haven't used it much. Again, I find all of this stuff here, the oils, at Walmart, right in the oil section. And then, of course, let's go on with like beans and stuff. So I always have some lentils on hand. These are ones that I canned. Again, same thing with my chickpeas. A little too mushy because you have to pressure can them. So I will do something different next time. But again, you need chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, all that stuff. Beans are great. Beans are a staple in getting a lot of protein. So we always have our pinto beans, cannellini beans, all that good stuff. So, beans on how you like it. Now let's go into some flours. I always have like tapioca flour. That's a nice thing that calls for some recipes. Chickpea flour. Now I've been making my chickpea flour. I got this machine done during the quarantine. I ordered this thing that chops almonds and all that stuff for the flours. It's specifically made to turn stuff into powder. So I bought that and I made up this chickpea flour, and it's fantastic. Okay, Vital wheat gluten flour. Now, about this is what you're using when you want to make something meat-like. So like when I make little chicken chunks or fake steaks or fake ribs, that gives that the texture. It's flour when it's dry, but when it's wet, it becomes elastic, and it's a great replacement if you want to make your own meat substitutes. Okay, almond flour. Almond flour is really great. You'll need it. Almond flour is great for coating pans when you're cooking, when you're baking. Coconut sugar. Again, organic coconut sugar. There's a lot of recipes that call for that. Rice flour is great. And all these do different things to a recipe. So when I find a recipe and it calls for that certain flour, I make sure I have it because I don't want to screw up that recipe. And then you have agar flour, which is vegetable gelatin. So you can make your gelatin stuff with it. So it gives a little bit of flavor, hardens up. You can use it to make your own vegan gelatin. I'm trying to get this egg replacer out that I forgot to get out because this is this bowl too. And then of course egg replacer. This is really great. You just add 2 teaspoons, I believe, of egg replacer with 2 tablespoons of water. Mix it up, and it replaces an egg. Hemp hearts or hemp seeds. I bought that because I want to make a hemp seed ranch. I found a recipe online. It's supposedly, everyone who reviewed it, it was fantastic. It was one of the best ranches they had. I need to get on that. Maybe I'll videotape it. Flax meal, which is great. That's another egg replacer. So you can use this as an egg replacer. It's great. It gives a great flavor. And then, of course, you want to have some like quinoa. You can have white quinoa, black quinoa, red quinoa. This is all stuff that I like to have on hand to have. So that's basically it for, well, it's not it. That's a good start on what you should have in your pantry food-wise. You know, there's other stuff like miso paste, tofu. You always want to have some kind of tofu if you like tofu. There's already made seitan, tempeh, all that stuff that you can have in your fridge. They last a long time. So if you buy it, usually they have a couple months shelf life in your refrigerator. So it isn't something that you got to use right away like your produce, you know, your lettuce and stuff like that. So I'm just going to show you a couple things that I found have been real handy when I'm making things, especially this Ninja. I had a regular blender and it was okay, but I got this from my cousin. It is godsend. I'm telling you, it's great, especially when I'm making like cashew ricotta. On my other blender, I had to do everything in stages. This one, I can just do it. I just did my tomatoes in them for my tomato sauce. That worked great. You want to have a tofu press if you're not going to buy already pressed tofu. You can just get this for a couple, I think it's like $5-6 online. I love this little immersion blender that I use for soups. When I use canned chickpeas and I need to break them down, I use that to give them that chunky feeling. And of course, a nice cutting board and knife. It makes all the difference when you have a nice, and it's sharp. It gets things done quickly. It's actually it's much safer than having a dull knife. Believe it or not, a sharp knife is much safer than a dull knife. Even though it's sharp, a dull knife can cause things to slip out from underneath and you can cut your finger anyway, so it's better to have a sharp knife. But yeah, so that's just a few things that I use around the house all the time. I'm trying to just peek around, see if I have anything. Some other things that you might need as a new vegan. I had the gastric bypass surgery, so when you have that, you have a thing called malabsorption, so I don't absorb everything pretty well. So I have to have a protein powder that I don't drink every day that I should. I get yelled at quite a bit, but I should have one every day. There are all kinds of protein powders on the market. I run everything products. I really enjoy. I think they're really tasty, especially the chocolate and the vanilla. I use that. There's all kinds that you can buy. So I prefer my protein powder with vegan protein powder in a blender. For some reason, when you use like almond milk, it just cuts it up really good. Where if you use it in a shaker, it doesn't have that fat like normal milk would have, or normal protein powder has the whey powder. So it doesn't mix as efficiently. But if you're not a person that has a texture problem like me, then it won't be a problem. Now there are going to be some supplements, even though meat eaters still don't get enough B12. B12 supplements are a good way to start. Trying to think. Oh, of course, everybody needs daily vitamins. Take your vitamins. I take that and calcium because of my surgery. But this isn't any medical advice. This is just helpful hints that I found that works great when I started learning how to be more vegan. But of course, there's also lots of vegan butters. I didn't think about talking about that. There's vegan butters. So I know Kroger has a brand by itself. There's Earth Balance. There's, I buy the generic kind, which is Smart Balance. Kroger's just got a couple new ones in that I absolutely love. So I need to go back and get them. I bought one salted and one unsalted, and I used them both very quickly. They tasted so much like butter. They were great. Not that the fake butter, the other vegan butters aren't tasty, but this was really super tasty. Miko's has a lot of butter. Actually, we have an oat butter in the fridge right now with hers. And then, of course, your milks. There's almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk, oat milk, and that's your choice. So it's up to your taste what kind of milk you would like to have. I know there's machines where you can make your own, which I've been tempted to try. But there's also other recipes that you can make your own milk. But I get mine just from Walmart. It's like $1.82 for a half gallon. It's fantastic. I love that almond milk. Unsweetened, has like 30 calories for a cup. Hardly any fat compared to cow's milk, goat's milk, all that stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I have. Of course, I always have onions and garlic and carrots and celery and tomatoes and potatoes, salads, radishes. A salad spinner would be nice if you had like a salad spinner, because it's nice to buy, your romaine lettuce and stuff. It's really good for you. Of course, I always have peanut butter and jelly handy. Flour, sugar, powdered sugar. Now, Domino sugar is vegan. And you ask, why isn't sugar vegan? Why wouldn't powdered sugar be vegan? A lot of people who grind the sugar, they use bone shards to grind the sugar. So it technically isn't vegan because it has used with animal product. But Domino sugar and powdered sugar is vegan if you get it out of New York and I think Chicago. But we always get the New York one up here in Ohio, in Fremont, Ohio at the Walmart. So I don't ever really have to worry about not finding it, which I do. I look. So, but yeah, so I think that's it. If there's anything else you guys are interested in, let me know. And like my daughter said yesterday, please subscribe to my channel. I don't know if you heard it in the other videos. Yo, you gotta say subscribe. You gotta say subscribe. And I said, okay, I'll do it next time. So please subscribe. Share this video. Hopefully it'll help someone else in the long run. If not, have a good day, and we'll see you later.